As I was going to put the decals onto the body, I just realized I need to paint this area black first. So I did a quick mask, and then I used my fine line airbrush just to spray black in this area. Now after spraying black, I tried to the masking I cut, tried to extend from the area a little bit. Then I tried to use very thin airbrush line to spray the boundary, so that I do not have a very strong demarcation between the silver and the black. And then afterward, I get this is like 2000 grit sanding paper, and I put it on my foam board, and I start sanding the edge from the silver towards the black, and to soften the demarcation line. So just to make sure that the paint is as flat as possible, so when I put the decal on, the demarcation line does not show through the decal. And this is what I've done with the black area. And after this being painted, the body is ready for decaling. So I'll come back when I have everything ready to start decaling the body. Okay, I have set up for putting decals on the body of the car. And usually when we put decals on, I like to put the large area onto the body first. Then after these dry, then I will start putting the finer, smaller decals onto the body. So this video is the purpose of the purpose of this video is to show you how the kit puts together. So I will just put the decal onto the car as it is. I will not do any touch-up work, and I will use decal softener, because I think that's a necessity to put decal these days. And I will not do any touch-up with paint or anything, so you can see how the decal goes onto the car bodies. Now, like most people, I also use these two decal softener from Gunzi, Mr. Mark Softer and Mr. Mark Setter. Theoretically, Mr. Mark Setter is for placing the decal onto the body, while Mr. Mark Softer is for softening the decal. This liquid is for putting the decal onto the paint surface, and what it does is it softens the tension or between the liquid and the paint surface, so that your decal can go on as less air bubble as possible. And then after putting the decal on, and after squeezing all the liquid from the decal, then you can use Mark Softer, which is to soften the decal and let it, shrink onto the paint surface. And that's the purpose of this liquid. Of course, there are other decal softener. I also have lots of other decal softener, like from Tamiya, from Tamio, from Gaia. There are many Mark Softer in the market, and but I tend to use this two to start with, unless the decal are very difficult to put on. Then I will go to the other Mark Softer. If anyone would like me to do a video on testing all the Mark Softer I have, all the decal softener I have, please leave your comment and I will try to do it. But unless somebody is interested in that, it's kind of boring, you know, testing decal softener. But anyways, these are the two liquid I use. And then I will always get a plastic container to put water on. There are many different methods have been, you know, tried by other modelers, like using warm water, using hair dryer to soften the decal and all that. But I never sought to those methods. I just use water, normal tap water, or if I'm, you know, a bit concerned, I'll use distilled water, but normal tap water will do for me. And then I will use the two mark softener. But one thing that's very important for putting decal onto the model, and that is patience. You got to have patience. If you don't have any patience, you're bound to fail in decaling. And the other things I have is I have a pair of plastic tweezers. This plastic tweezer won't hurt any decal. And it's not very strong. So if I need to move the decal, say a large sheet of decals, then I probably need to go to some metal tweezers, but usually this plastic tweezer will do. If it needs help, it will be a brush, around the soft hair brush. That can help move the decal around too. But if you put in enough mark setter, well, equivalent to a micro set, then you should be able to move the decal around, unless, you know, you take a long time to move that around and around and around and around. Then you will have a tendency to tear the decal. But normally, if you put in enough water with enough setter, then you can move the decal to the right position quite easily. So this is how I usually do. Of course, I also have a piece of paper towel to dry the decal. I will put on a couple of decals for you to see, and then I will again switch off the camera and do it off camera. Now what you need to do is a very sharp knife. You should get a new blade from your knife, and then you cut out the decal. Okay, and then I'll put the decal and soak it in the water. And actually, once the decal curl up, I will take it out. And I shake off the extra water, and I just put the decal onto the paper towel. And usually, you don't have to, you know, really dip the decal onto the paper for into the water for a long time. Give it time, and then let it sit on the paper towel for a while. Then it will loosen out from the backing paper, and you can put the decal on afterwards. Now what I do is I'll put I'll brush liberally with the decal setter. See, you really don't need to soak it into the water for too long. Then the decal will come off. And then you try to put it onto position as close to position as possible when you slide it out from the backing paper. And now is where the brush comes in. You know, you will help, the brush can help the decal to move close, conform onto the body. Well, it seems like the red doesn't, the red area doesn't extend to all the way to the edge of the windshield. So I will move the decal up a little bit. I use my brush to suck up the extra liquid, whatever that is, whether it's water or it's mark setter or it's mark setter. And now I use the brush to push the water or the liquid out from underneath of the decal. Now it's very obvious that when I mask off the black area, I over mask the area, so part of the black showed up through the decal. But I'm not going to worry about it because after the decal is dried, and maybe even after I spray a coat, one coat or two coat of clear over it, then I can come back and touch up with silver paint to cover that area out. Right now, most important is to getting the decal completely sucked onto the body. Now you can see that this area, the decal start to wrinkle a little bit because of the curvature of the hood. And in this now, I will brush over the mark softer. and I try not to I try to keep the liquid within the decal itself. Well, the decal looks like a very good quality decal because it looked really soft and it glued to the body quite well. Okay, and then I'll leave it. I wouldn't try to fix anything at this moment. Whatever I need to fix, I'll come back later. And then let's do the top area of the car. Next is the dark red, dark brown area on the top of the on the roof top. So I soak it in the water for a few seconds, and then I let it soften on the paper towel. Give it a few seconds to loosen up from the backing paper. Now you can see the front of the decal start softening and then shrinking down onto the body. But I don't think it's enough. I will wait a little while and then I'll give a couple more coats of Mark Softer. Okay, let me try to see if this is okay. Now it come loose already, so I will put on a liberal amount of Mark Setter. And try to get close to the right position as possible. Before I slide the decal onto the model. Okay. Well, the decal is actually very soft. So for a large piece like this, it's actually you got to take really good care when you try to slide it down onto the model. And then I try to squeeze out all the liquid. This time it's mainly the Mark Setter. Try to squeeze out as much as possible with a brush. Then I use some water. See, not difficult, isn't it? You see it? Not difficult. Got to have patience. That's what you need. Patience. Can't hurry it. Okay, then before I brush the mark softer onto the top, the rooftop decal, I will give another application to the front of this this part of the decal, the front decal. Hopefully it will shrink wrap onto the body. And I also give a coat here, because according to my reference, this red area should really come to the recessed panel line there. So I will try to have it shrunk onto the panel line, and then later on I will try to trim it off from that area, and then mark softer onto the decal of the rooftop. Don't move it. After you put the mark softer on, don't touch it, don't move it, just leave it, right? Don't try to correct it, it'll make matter worse. Just leave it there. If you need to squeeze some liquid out, use the brush to do it. Don't use your hand. Don't use your finger. Just let it sit there. Okay? Then 2 pieces on. Okay. Now I will switch off the camera and I'll try to do the rest of the decal. If I encounter any tricky place, I will come back to the camera and show it to you. So when you build this model, you'll know where you're at. Okay, guys, I run into a problem. Actually, it's not a problem. It's just a matter of putting the decal on in the right sequence. I put this piece on the trunk first, and then I put the one on the back afterwards. And see what happened? What happened is the one at the back, it's slightly too long and it wrapped around to the top of this decal on the back. So when you do the decaling of this car, make sure you put the decal on the very back of the car first, then let this piece of decal on the trunk cover that. Then you won't run into this problem where the decal on the back overlapping this decal on the top of the trunk. Of course, the other ways you can do is to trim this decal so that it ends right along the edge, but that would be difficult to do. You know, I recommend you put this piece of decal on first, then this piece of decal. What I will do is I will try to trim this too little bit off when the decal is slightly drier, and see if I can fix that. That's what I'll do. Okay, the large basic color decals are pretty much done. So before I go into the smaller decals, I'd like to show you guys, you know, how this turned out. Now, first of all, let's look at the hood. Remember, there's slight wrinkle on the tip of the hood, and with a little bit of patience and a few more layers or applications of mark softer, you can see that the decals shrink all the way down onto the contour of the hood. Not only it shrink down onto the contour of the hood, it actually wrap around the hood underneath quite really well. So this is how you this is how I decal with minimum touch of the decal with after applying the softening solution, and then with a lot of patience and with strain from touching the decal. And the rest of the decals are have been laid on the body really well. And also what you can see is, remember I mentioned about the back, the decal of the back being overhang to the top. Now I have trimmed the black area out from the top, so right now the white strip goes all the way to the end of the body. So it looks really nice. And also what I have done is I have scored the recessed panel line where the decal covers, and then make sure the decal is completely dry before you score it with the knife. And then afterward I apply a couple more application of decal solution, and it shrink right down onto the recessed panel line, as you can see. So after I gloss varnish the whole thing, I can put a little bit of wash into the panel lines to symbolize the door seal or the door gap. And I will put on the smaller decals. I'll come back and show you after I complete it. Okay, I have complete decaling the whole body, other than the back, which I need to paint it black before I put in other decals. And you can see that it looks really nice. What you should be careful of when you are making the silver car is that use the black version of this small decal, also the black version of this small decal. Of course, the Quadro company logo also use black version, and they are right beside the white version of them on the decal sheet. And also for the silver car, you must pay attention that the arrows are red instead of yellow. And for the pilots or the drivers, obviously use the black version. So this is how it looks like with full decal on. Now I usually let the decals dry overnight, and then I will wash it with mild detergent, and then coat it with varnish or lacquer, and I will do that off camera. And we need to wait for the varnish to dry, so I will come back with the varnished body. Okay, I'm back. I've give it a coat of 2K clear, and now I need to let it dry for a couple of days before I polish it out. Probably give it a light sand with really fine grit of sanding paper, and then polish it out with rubbing compound. So when I'm waiting for it to dry, I will start putting the interior and the chassis together. So I'll finish this part of the video, and I will come back with the next part of the video, which will be the building of the driving compartment and the chassis. And please wait for my next video. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.